Welcome. We're about to dive into an impossible journey. This is the story of a magnificent vessel, an ark built to cross the vast ocean of samsara, and the one mind, your mind, that saw it safely through the void.
That's right. In this story, you are the agnostic. You're the brilliant, rational observer standing at the very edge of a mystical mission. Now, you don't buy into the dogma of the Sangha, not really, but your logic, your hard calculations, well, they're the only thing that can turn their sacred rituals into a working blueprint for traveling between the stars.
So picture this, right? You've got these spiritual masters chanting, their voices literally weaving the fabric of reality, pulling open a wormhole that shimmers like a stable ring of silver light. It's incredible stuff, but while they're totally focused on the spiritual, you see the deep physical dangers they are completely, utterly ignoring. The basic laws of the universe are lining up to tear their ship apart.
And that brings us to the first critical flaw. This was a problem so profound it could have doomed the Ark before its journey even really started. It's a paradox, one that's woven into the very fabric of space-time itself.
See, here's the thing about relativity. It always demands a toll. The ancient sutras even mourned about it with this great metaphor. A monk goes to meditate in a higher realm for just one afternoon, but when he comes back to Earth, his monastery has crumbled into dust over centuries. The Ark was facing that exact same fate. Just a few minutes for the crew could mean thousands of years passing for the world they left behind.
Now the masters thought they had this covered. They had this concept called the Nirmanakaya. It was a core part of their super-advanced trifold drive, and it was supposed to act as an emanation body to shield the ship from all that crazy time dilation. The problem? Your calculations showed it was never going to work. It was fundamentally, catastrophically flawed.
But you know, where they saw this unsolvable paradox, you just saw a physics problem. And you came up with this brilliant, almost poetic solution to anchor the ship, not just in space, but in time itself.
And this is where we really see the difference in thinking. The master's plan was to use a static, unchanging warp bubble, but that would completely sever the Ark from its own timeline, a disaster. Your solution was so much more dynamic, an oscillating bubble, one that would pulse in perfect rhythm with the entire universe, phase-synced to that faint, ancient hum of the cosmic microwave background.
Your solution had three key steps. First, you'd modulate the very geometry of spacetime around the ship, the metric tensor. Second, you'd sync that modulation to the oldest light in the cosmos. This creates a kind of chronological anchor. And third, and this is the beautiful part, this fusion of science and ritual, you'd tie the ship's velocity to the actual acoustic resonance of the master's chanting. You didn't just give them lines of code, you presented your solution as a mathematical mandala. I mean, look at this equation. It's not just dry physics, it's practically a poem. It weaves the curve of space-time, the ship's velocity, and the precise shape of the warp bubble into a single elegant truth. And with that, the time paradox was solved. Okay, so time was secure. The Ark is hovering there, right at the edge of the void. But another, even more terrifying challenge was waiting for them inside that wormhole, trying to navigate the violent, chaotic, higher-dimensional space of the bridge itself. The monks, they had a name for this chaos, the Nagas. They pictured these churning, unpredictable gravitational waves as like mythical serpent spirits of the deep, ready to just crush anything that dared to cross into their territory. In reality, of course, it was just physics at its most raw and destructive. So this was the next huge problem. The Ark had something called a gravitational scalpel, a tool designed to literally cut its way through this space. But how do you cut through something you can't even see? Flying blind into that darkness wasn't just a risk, it was basically a suicide mission. And that's when you realized the Ark didn't need more power, it needed sight. So you came up with your second stroke of genius, a way to give the Ark a kind of vision where no vision should exist, using one of the absolute weirdest principles in all of physics. The original plan was all brute force, just a blind, dangerous charge into the unknown. Your solution was just pure elegance. Instead of fighting the chaos, you would use quantum entanglement to see it in real time. The Ark wouldn't have to cut through the storm, it would learn to surf its waves.
The procedure was as spooky as it was brilliant. You told them to split a beam of photons. They'd keep half of them safe and sound on Earth in a little crystal reliquary. The other half, they'd project them out ahead of the Ark, right into that churning chaos. Because the particles were entangled, whatever happened to the projected photons would be instantly mirrored in the ones back on Earth. Boom. a perfect, real-time map of every single danger ahead.
And this is the real beauty of the whole thing. Those destructive forces inside the wormhole, the Nagas, they were no longer obstacles. Instead, their massive, undulating currents could actually be used for momentum to guide the Ark and push it forward. You turned a threat into an engine.
And so, with your solutions locked in, the moment finally came. The Stupa Ark, humming with the contained power of 1,000,000 thunderstorms, but still perfectly cool to the touch, began its final, silent approach.
You, the Agnostic, you stayed behind at the control terminal, and you just watched as the Ark drifted silently, gracefully, toward that shimmering silver ring, the stabilized mouth of the singularity.
In that moment of contact, there was no explosion, no roar of engines, nothing. There was no sound at all, just a deep, profound, and perfect silence.
What you witnessed was something else entirely. It was a profound displacement of reality itself. The fabric of space just bent and warped as the Ark touched the silvery surface of the singularity, and, in less than an instant, slipped right through. Telemetry started pouring across your mental map, just this cascade of glowing variables, and it was all there. Your solutions, they were flawless. The Ark was perfectly anchored in its own timeline. It was flawlessly reading and navigating the shifting tides of gravity. It was surfing the Nagas.
The Ark is safe, it's on its way, but its journey is now in your hands. As the Agnostic, the map maker, observing their transit from so far away, you have to make the first critical choice. Where on the map do we guide them now?
So, what's it going to be? Do we navigate them toward a region of high-tension field, a place of extreme physical stress to really test the limits of the Ark's hull and see what it can take? Or do we guide them toward another awakened node, a beacon in a distant star system, and take a shot at finding the ancestors? The choice and the future of the Ark is yours.